The house was a tomb after the funeral, each shadow a reminder of what was lost, fueling a fire of vengeance that simmered beneath the surface. I sat at the dining table alone, me gaze fixed on a half-empty cup of coffee. The emptiness inside me was deeper than I ever imagined. Loneliness clung to me a suffocating shroud I couldn't shake off just when I believed the darkness would consume me. A soft knock shattered the silence with a heart pounding and instincts on high alert. I swung the door open there. He stood my Myson's best friend, his gaze burning with an intensity that hinted at a storm brewing, a revelation that would shatter the calm and ignite a fire within me. The instant I laid eyes on him, a chilling surge coursed through my veins. Jason Myson's best friend appeared transformed. Beneath the harsh glow of the porch light, he had transformed from that scrawny kid who devoured our snacks and crashed on the couch after endless gaming sessions. Now, he stood tall, broad-shouldered, his face etched with the gravity of a man who had faced betrayal and was ready to unleash his fury for a heartbeat. Silence hung between us, thick with unspoken fury. The night air crackled, heavy with unspoken truths and simmering fury. "Text, I regret your loss," he finally declared, his voice heavy with a weight I had long forgotten. I nodded, silence swallowing my voice. Grief stripped me bare, my husband, my laughter, my place in this world, and now, even my voice. But I will rise from this darkness, and they will pay. Jason stood rigid, gripping the small container like it held the weight of his fury. "I brought you something," he said, thrusting it forward, a simple homemade casserole, butte. It carried a weight of unspoken truths. That tiny gesture struck like a thunderbolt, breaking the fragile dam I had painstakingly constructed within me. "Thank you," I hissed, stepping aside to let him in. My heart racing with unspoken fury. The house devoured him whole, ravenous for every ounce of life and noise. He slammed the casserole onto the counter, his eyes burning with worry as he faced me. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his gaze piercing through me, igniting a fire that had long been dormant. For the first time in weeks, I felt truly exposed, raw and ready for what was to come. I offered a cold, humorless grin, surviving. I spat, my voice trembling with fury. Jason paused, then defied expectations. He grasped my hand, not with a casual touch, but with a fierce grip that jolted my heart, igniting a fire within me. Yearned to escape, to hide in my darkness, yet a fire within me fought back. It craved that connection, a reminder that I was still breathing, still fighting. "You want me to stick around?" he asked, a hint of hesitation in his voice, as if he feared crossing a line. The empty house loomed around me, the photo frame taunting from the wall, and the silence slammed down like a fist, igniting a fire within me. "Absolutely, I've said it before, I can overthink it all." We stepped into the living room, a battleground of comfort twisted with sorrow. Jason perched on the couch's edge, a silent storm brewing within him, while I huddled on the other side, clutching the blanket like a shield. We sat in silence, the refrigerators hum in the house's creaks, echoing our unspoken tension. It was unsettling how right it felt to have him there, a link to the life I had lost and the uncertain future that awaited me. But I would make them pay for what they took from me. We began with trivial chatter: his new job, the neighborhood's transformation during his absence, but beneath the surface a storm brewed, waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. Then the conversation plunged into the depths, eager to ask about my husband, about the void that gnaws at me daily. It was just a question, but it shattered everything within me. I unleashed the truths I had buried deep, no longer afraid of the crushing burden they carried. I spoke of the midnight laughter, the silent mourns, the looks that screamed. Everything whenever said. Jason absorbed every word, silent and unyielding, refusing to mend. What was broken, he just listened. His focus so intense it twisted my heart with longing. When I finally ran out of words, he leaned in, eyes fierce, and said, "You can miss him and still crave someone else?" The truth hit me like a punch, raw and searing. I had to shut my eyes, fighting the wave of emotion crashing over me. I opened them to see him looming nearer, his face cloaked in darkness, but his eyes burned bright with a fierce intensity. They held no pity, just a fierce understanding. a silent promise of vengeance lurking beneath the surface. In that fleeting instant I stood, at the brink of peril and allure, ready to embrace the chaos that awaited it, could be my salvation or my undoing. My heart pounded, fiercely torn between doubt and a fierce resolve. It had been ages since someone had gazed at me with desire, not disdain. My breath hitched a spark, igniting in the charged air. Between us, for the first time in ages, I dared to think, what if moving on didn't mean erasing the past? What if I could carry the fire of my vengeance with me? What if amidst the ashes of betrayal, you could uncover something fierce and transformative, a power rising from the wreckage of what once was? Jason caught the shift in my gaze, and a slow, cautious smile crept across his face, heavy with 1,000 unvoiced vows. But beneath it all, a storm was brewing, ready to unleash its fury. My heart thundered. I had no idea where this night would lead. But for the first time, fear was absent. I was alive, and I was ready to unleash my fury once more. Jason moved, his knee grazing mine, and that fleeting touch ignited a fire within me. It could have been simple to walk away, to erase the moment and act like it never existed, but I won't. I lingered, absorbing the fire of his touch, allowing it to fill the empty voids within me. His eyes locked onto mine, daring me to back down, offering me a chance to escape, to refuse, but I wouldn't not. This time I stood frozen, heart racing, drowning in thessalence that screamed louder than any words could ever convey in a moment of reckless defiance. I grasped his hand, my fingers wrapping around his with a fierce intensity. His hand was warm and steady, a bold reminder of my own trembling vulnerability. I felt the fire of revenge ignite within me, ready to turn that warmth into something fierce. He flipped, his palm-up fingers weaving with mine. That simple act ignited a fire within me, tightening my throat with a rush of raw emotion. I had lost the memory of a touch that ignites the soul, not driven by obligation, but by raw, unfiltered connection. Jason closed the gap, his presence electrifying the air around us. His hand rose, trembling with intent, to push a rebellious strand of hair behind my ear, igniting a fire within me. His fingertips barely touched me, but the shock ignited a fire within, a promise of reckoning. He stared at me, his gaze a weight of unspoken fury. "You're stunning," he breathed, his voice thick with a mix of admiration and something darker lurking beneath. No one had dared to speak to me like that in years, with such fierce, unmasked honesty. I felt thirsting of tears, but I blinked them back, refusing to let them betray my strength. I leaned into his touch, letting his hand cradle my cheek. But deep inside, a storm brewed, ready to unleash its fury. The world faded away, swallowed by grief and hollow words. It was just him and me, a raw tension crackling in the air, a chance for reckoning that could shatter everything. He closed the gap, his breath igniting a fire on my lips. He hesitated, offering me one last chance to escape, but I craved the storm ahead. I closed the gap, my lips crashing against his with a fierce intensity. The kiss started, gentle, a fragile moment, each of us wary of the other's retreat. But when I didn't, when I tilted my head to deepen the connection, he responded with a fervor that made my heart race, his arms wrapping around me, pulling me close. For the first time in ages, I felt truly held, deeply held. But that warmth masked a storm brewing within me, a thirst for retribution that simmered just beneath the surface. The kiss ignited, fierce and desperate, a battle to reclaim what was stolen from us. My hand climbed his chest, sensing the power beneath his shirt, the undeniable truth of him anchoring me in a way I never knew I craved. He pulled back, locking eyes with me, hunting for regret. Instead, he found only a fierce longing, an insatiable hunger to reclaim life. Toby desired to be acknowledged. "Do you really think so?" he demanded, his voice a gritty growl. I nodded, silence my only weapon, and that was all the permission he craved. He yanked me up, his grip fierce, and dragged me toward the staircase, a storm brewing in his eyes. Each step was heavy with tension, every look charged with unfulfilled vows. As Wes stepped into my bedroom, my hands shook, not from fear, but from the electrifying anticipation of the chaos that was about to unfold. Jason was deliberate, his touch, igniting a fierce blaze on my skin as he peeled away my cardigan, each brush a promise of something more, something darker. He pressed his lips against my throat, tracing the curve of my shoulder, lingering as if he intended to consume. Every part of me, I matched his intensity, fingers threading through his hair, tracing the hard lines of his back, sensing the tension and release of his muscles beneath my touch when he finally laid me down on the bed. It was with a tenderness that twisted my heart into knots. He loomed over me, his gaze, devouring every inch, etching my essence into his memory. "You are incredible," he whispered, and for a fleeting moment I let myself believe it. But tomorrow the truth would cut deeper than any compliment. Our clothes vanished piece by piece as if savoring the moment, every piece thrown away a brutal severing. From past lives, past agony. His touch was not clumsy or naive. It was a fierce, consuming fire that laid bare every hidden part of me, igniting a longing for what was lost. Each kiss, each caress, each whispered word detonated the buried wounds I had concealed. For ages, the spark between us was undeniable, but it was the depth of our connection that shattered me. His gaze held mine, unwavering, making me feel whole, valued. And fiercely alive we moved as one aprimal force, igniting a fire that devoured everything in its path when I finally screamed his name. It wasn't just a release. It was a fierce rebirth, a fierce reclaiming of the part of me I believed was gone for good. Afterwards we lay in twined breath, steadying the room, heavy with a silence that felt like a trap. Jason's fingers grazed my arm, a lingering touch that hinted at something. Deeper, something he feared losing. I pressed my ear against his chest, feeling the relentless thump of his heart, a reminder of the life I once thought was mine. For once, I felt the chains of loneliness shatter, leaving me free and fierce. Instead, I felt a fierce fire, unyielding, ready to strike back. He pressed a kiss to the top of my head, his voice low and fierce. "You are not alone anymore." The weight of his words ignited a fire within me, a promise of reckoning. I shut my eyes, letting the weight of those words crash down on me. In just one night, Jason shattered my illusions, proving that love wears many masks. Healing, it's a brutal, twisted journey, but I'll rise from the ashes I wasted. Too much time grieving the past, but now I'm ready to seize what's ahead. With fierce determination in his embrace, I'd read to hope for beauty again, despite the pain that had scarred me. But now I was ready to reclaim what was mine, and nothing would stand in my way. The morning light sliced through the room, exposing the chaos of tangled sheets and the remnants of a night filled with unspoken promises. I stirred, ready for solitude, ready for the familiar ache of emptiness that clung to me like a shadow. But Jason remained, his arm a shield around me, his breath a calm storm against my hair. In that fleeting moment, I surrendered to the warmth of that embrace, casting aside doubt and letting raw emotion wash over me. But as I leaned into him, my mind ignited with chaos, ready to unleash a storm. Reality, relentless and unforgiving, would not be inured. I was older, scarred, burdened, with a lifetime of pain. He could never grasp what we shared last night was beautiful, almost sacred. But can I endure, or will it shatter in the light of day, leaving only the bitter taste of betrayal? Fear slithered in, chilling my heart, filling every crack with a biting doubt that demanded retribution. Jason stirred, feeling the storm within me, his fingers grazing my arm like a whisper of what was to come. "Penny for your thoughts," he growled, his voice heavy, with the weight of unspoken vengeance. It traced patterns on his chest, a bittersweet smile masking the storm within. How could I reveal the fear that gripped me, no matter his tenderness? I knew deep down this was fleeting, a stunning mirage, destined to be obliterated by the harsh light of reality I couldn't shake. The feeling, I said, my voice steady, that last night was a dream too sweet to last. Jason gripped my chin, compelling me to face him, his gaze burning with intensity. There was only resolve off years' determination that burned bright, devoid of any remorse. It was real, it declared. With fierce conviction doubts clawed at me, relentless and unforgiving. What would they say if the truth came? Out would they view me as weak? A fool grasping at shadows to ease my aching solitude. Would Jason ever wake up, gaze me with newfound clarity, and see that he deserved someone younger? Simpler the thought stings like a dagger. I wrapped the blanket around me, trying to guard my heart from the pain that was coming form. Feeling the change within me, Jason straightened his gaze, sharp and alert. Text. Stop overthinking, he said, a smirk playing on his lips. Fear drives you to act like this. I blinked, stunned by how effortlessly he saw right through me. Fear grips me, but I won't let it win. You're still in your prime. Your future is wide open, waiting for you to seize it. I refuse to be a regret in your life. His face twisted with regret as he dared to touch my cheek, but I felt the fire of vengeance burning within me. You are not a mistake, he declared, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife hiss. Thumb swept away a tear. I didn't even know I shed. You are fear-stunning and unyielding. Last night was about unleashing fury. It was about seizing the truth. I wanted to trust him, how I craved to trust him. Yet in the stillness, old wounds screamed there. Deceit clawing at the edges of my mind, I pressed my face into his palm, absorbing his warmth, battling the relentless whispers of doubt that clawed at my mind. What comes next? I hissed, when the world crashes in, when it's no longer just us in this sanctuary. Jason paused, the weight of his next words heavy with consequence. He confessed, I don't have all the answers, but I know the fire that burns within me. I refuse to turn my back on this on you. Bitter, his words detonated within me, a deceptive bomb that couldn't erase the raw sting of doubt. As we dressed, the air crackled with tension, an unshakable weight hanging between us, hinting at the storm, brewing beneath the surface. Every casual brush of his hand, every lingering glance ignited a fire within me, a reminder that everything had changed. It felt the weight of betrayal, and I was ready to unleash my fury. We became a force, no longer just two lonely souls seeking fleeting comfort. We were bound now, a connection that thrilled me and terrified me in equal measure. The knock at the door sent a jolt through us, a harbinger of what was to come. Jason shot me a look, a silent challenge hanging in the air. Would he dare to answer it? Is hook my head yanked on my sweater and smooth my hair with a fierce determination. Let them wait. I have my own plans. Now I took a breath, steeling myself, weighing how much of last night's fire I would unleash upon the world, but beneath it all, I realized the true fight wasn't with their judgments, it was with the fear that clawed at my soul. Haunted by the scars of vulnerability, I refused to let hope creep in my heart. Once open, now shields itself from the chaos I cannot command. Jason sneaked up behind me, his arms tightening around my waist, his chin digging into my shoulder. The warmth felt like a betrayal, igniting a fire within me. Whatever comes next, he whispered, we'll confront it side by side, no turning back. His words struck hard, a promise I never knew I crave, igniting a fire within me that demanded retribution for the first time in ages. I finally embraced that promise, ready to unleash the storm within. I dared to hope not for fairy tales or flawless conclusions, but for the raw, chaotic chance of something genuine, something worth the battle, and perhaps, just perhaps, that was all it took. The days that came after were brutal, but they were undeniably true. There were flashes of doubt, a flicker of uncertainty, wondering if this delicate bond could endure past that fateful night. But Jason stood firm as I tried to escape. He yanked me back, relentless and unwavering, in moments of doubt. He struck back with quiet strength, showing me that love can be a fierce surprise, not the gentle arrival we dream of. It creeps in uninvited, wedging itself into the shattered pieces of a heart, defiantly blooming where it's couldn't. We guarded our bond fiercely, relishing the secret moments that belonged solely to us. The electric glances, the fleeting touches, the midnight talks that mended our broken pieces. We faced challenges, but we stood, together knowing our bond was flawed yet real. And now it's time to settle the score. Jason always saw me as worthy. Never a weight or a flaw he saw. Me truly saw me scars, and all he wanted me loved. Me not in spite of my pain, but because of it, and now he'll pay for taking that away. As the sun sank casting shadows of gold, Jason gripped my hand fiercely and declared, "You saved me too, you know." The weight of his words hung heavy, igniting a fire within me. I grinned, through the pain understanding that this was more than just mending scars, it was time to create something fierce.